Why did I shave my head? Why did I shave my head? Because I was attached to hair. That's why. I didn't know this. There was just this inner feeling that I should shave my head. There's a ceremony that Buddhist monks and nuns go through in Zen, in the same tradition that I came from, Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition. And this ceremony for novice monks and nuns is called cutting the ignorance grass. It's when they first become a monk or a nun, the first thing that happens is their head is shaved. And this ceremony is called cutting the ignorance grass, which really means cutting attachment to the world, cutting attachment to the body, cutting attachment to everything, because this is the only way we can become free. So when I shaved my head, I wasn't really aware that I was attached. I just felt this inner calling to do this, to do a ceremony for myself of cutting the ignorance grass, exactly what happens with the novice monks and nuns. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And the only way that I knew that I was attached was after I was done, I felt free. That's all. After I was done, I felt this enormous sense of freedom. And then I knew I was attached to my hair. I was attached to my hair. And only when there was no more hair, only when it was completely shaved bald, did I realize that I was attached, because I felt this enormous freedom. And this is how we know. We don't know while we're attached to things. We're really not aware of it while we're attached. But when we lose them, if we feel this enormous freedom, we know that we were attached. We also know by this suffering that we may feel when something's gone. For instance, right now in the US and around the world, the stock markets are going down. They're rapidly descending. And for many years, about 5 years, they were going up all the time. So people got used to making money in the stock market, and most people were attached to that. They were attached to the stock market going up. They were attached to having money and having more money. And when they started seeing their money go, when they started seeing that they were losing money, they felt badly. They suffered. If they weren't attached to this money, they would just watch the stock market go up and down. I have money in stocks myself. That's part of the way that I'm living, really. And I see the stock market going down, but I don't feel this suffering. I'm just watching it go down. I assume it'll probably go up at some point. It usually has, but it might not. It might just keep going down. All that money may be gone. I may become homeless. That's true. This could happen to anybody. And if we're not attached to it, we will not experience suffering. But if we are attached, we will experience suffering. And that's how we know. Now, when I shaved my head, I did this on purpose. I knew that the hair was going to go. It wasn't a surprise to me. Nobody else came and secretly shaved my head while I was sleeping. I did it, I did it. So it was okay. It was fine. When it was gone, I just felt this freedom. If I was really attached, I would feel terrible. I would think, oh my God, I made a terrible mistake. Now I have no hair. I didn't have much before, but now all of it's gone. And I would feel that I made a terrible mistake, and I wouldn't feel good about it. But instead, I feel free. Because that attachment was also set free. When I shaved my head, the attachment to the hair was also shaved, was also gone. So I felt freedom. If I were still attached to having hair while not having any, then I'd be suffering, wouldn't I? And this is how it is with you as well. We all have attachments, and only our freedom from attachments can relieve us of suffering. Because everything in this world comes and goes. Everything rises and falls just like the stock market. Bodies come and go. health of the body comes and goes. We experience sickness. We experience old age, and we experience death. This is inevitable for bodies. No matter how good we take care of our bodies, this is going to happen. And as long as we're attached, we're going to suffer. There's no problem with having wealth, having health, having hair. There's no problem with this at all. It's only our attachment to them that creates suffering. That's it. We can have billions of dollars and money invested in the stock market. As long as we have no attachment to it, we're not going to suffer. We can have abundant health, and this is wonderful. As long as we don't have attachment to it, we're not going to suffer when the body gets sick. Even the healthiest body gets sick. Even the healthiest body dies. This is inevitable. Jack LaLanne was one of my role models when I was growing up. He was very healthy, just sort of embodied health. He was a bodybuilder. He ate healthy food. He exercised all the time, and he embodied health, and he had enormous energy and enthusiasm, and I really admired this in him. And in some ways did the same thing. I mean, I didn't bodybuild to the degree that he did, but I was also a bodybuilder. I took great pride in my body. I took great pride in my health and my energy, and it's been wonderful. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm very, very happy for it. But I'm not attached to it anymore as I used to be. And this is the secret to not suffering. If we're attached to our health, how do we feel when we get sick? Because we're going to. Jack LaLanne died, and he also got sick in the last few years of his life. He was suffering from, I don't know, a stroke or something like that. But I think he probably was a bit attached to it and felt suffering because of that. He used to say, "I can't die, it would be bad for my image." That's a great motto for him. But that's also a sign of attachment and suffering. If we're not attached to our body, we can live in a very healthy life. But when we get sick, and when the body starts dying, we're not going to suffer about it. We're going to realize this is just what happens to bodies. So of course it's going to happen to my body too. Why should my body be any different than every other body that's ever existed and that exists? It can't be. So it's the attachment that creates suffering, not the thing itself, not what we're attached to, the attachment itself. So the reason I shave my head is not to look beautiful, not to have a new style or a new look. It was simply to free myself from attachment. I had some attachment to having hair. I mean, I was a hippie when I was young. I played in rock and roll bands. Before that, I was a greaser. A lot of that was very hair-oriented, you know. I had very long hair when I was a hippie and played in rock bands. And I was proud of it. I was attached to it. It sort of served my identity, you know. Some of you may identify with this too. If you grew up in the 60s as I did. And there was attachment. And now I don't have attachment to that. In its place, I have freedom. And that's worth anything. Freedom. Of course, we can also be attached to freedom too, to desiring and wanting freedom in that way. And that's not freedom. Freedom is freedom. It doesn't have attachments, even to freedom. It's free of all attachments. So I'm not suggesting that you go out and shave your head. You don't have to do that. That was something that I did and gave me more freedom than I even had before. So it was really worth it for me. It's just the attachment. Have beautiful hair and cut your attachment to it, not the hair itself, the attachment. Let the attachment go and be free. This is what you really want inside, this freedom, this end of suffering. Because when you're free of attachment, you're also free of suffering. One of the greatest attachments we have is to this sense of a separate individual person that does things, that accomplishes things, that's proud of their accomplishments, or that suffers or beats themselves up and is self-critical. This individual, separate person. Sometimes it's very high and we're proud of it. And sometimes it's very low and we feel we're a failure or a victim. All of this is this sense of a separate self, what we call the ego. And to be free of this is the greatest freedom of all. When we're free of this, we're free of everything. I hope this for you someday. Even the smallest experience of freedom, maybe not of the whole thing, maybe not of the sense of the separate self, where you feel this oneness with everything. But even the smallest step towards this will give you more happiness, more peace, more love. Cut your attachment. You don't need to cut your hair.